Taylor Swift's re-recording project is a wildly successful strategy to regain ownership of her work. But with a media frenzy over her love life, it's easy to lose sight of why she's doing this and why more artists aren't doing the same. I'm Yoonj Kim, and this is MTV News Need to Know. Taylor Swift's Red, Taylor's version, dropped last Friday and is already massively outperforming the original album. It's the second of 5 releases the singer has promised to re-record in order to have ownership over the masters, something she does not have with the original recordings. This new version of Red also includes never-before-heard tracks from the vault, including a 10-minute version of All Too Well, the fan-favorite breakup song widely accepted to be about her brief romance with Jake Gyllenhaal in 2010, which also inspired other tracks on the album. Fans online have dug deep, attempting to read into that breakup through the album's new material. And meanwhile, critics have wondered why Swift continues to put this relationship on blast 9 years later. To their point, there's been a fair share of roasting and jokes at her ex's expense in the wake of the re-releases. Even Dionne Warwick weighed in on the lyrical references to a forgotten scarf, tweeting, "If that young man has Taylor's scarf, he should return it. It does not belong to you, box it up, and I will pay the cost of postage, Jake." Some fans have gone farther, sending death threats to another Swift ex, John Mayer, leading critics to paint Taylor as a crazed ex-lover who stokes her fan base to hate on her exes. But while death threats are wholly inappropriate, this larger criticism is incredibly sexist and reductive and misses the point, which is that she's not making these Taylor's versions to rehash past affairs. She's revisiting these songs older and wiser and taking back control of her voice and the money it generates. And Swift has been advocating for this for a long time. She's been openly critical of streaming services like Spotify and Apple Music for their low artist compensation rates, and actually affected change by boycotting the streamers. And last week, she explained to Seth Meyers why she's taking this approach in the battle for her masters.
I made it very clear that I wanted to be able to buy my music. It was sold to somebody else, and so I just figured I was the one who made this music first. I can just make it again.
This isn't the first time women artists have been negatively affected by the music industry after signing predatory contracts at a young age. Other artists have spoken out about unfair contracts, including the Chicks, Megan Thee Stallion, Ashanti, and Kesha. And perhaps most similar to Taylor's story is what happened to JoJo, who in 2004 became the youngest solo artist ever to have a #1 single on the Billboard charts. At age 12, JoJo signed a 7-album contract with Blackground Records where she did not own her masters. After 2 hit LPs, the young star went silent because Blackground refused to release her new music over a contract dispute and creative differences. And after a long legal battle, JoJo was finally released from her contract and re-recorded her music like Taylor. But their experiences are not totally similar, as JoJo explained to People. "I was literally being completely silenced. Taylor is in a different position in her career. I was really sidelined, and it was pretty hurtful." Now, it is possible that the Taylor's version albums are only successful because it's Taylor Swift, and the public is invested in her personal life. It took years of engineering her brand to get audiences on board with the complicated legal backstory and her reasons for re-recording. But now with the fandom behind her, and after a uniquely prolific creative output during the pandemic, Swift is seizing an opportune time to rally interest in her re-releases. The wild success of these re-recorded hits and the agency she's displaying have record companies on edge. Universal, the world's largest music company, has reworked its deals to make it harder for artists to re-record tracks. But despite that, many young new artists like Olivia Rodrigo say they've learned valuable lessons from Swift's saga and are insisting on ownership over their masters from day one. For Taylor's part, it's often said that great art arises from restrictions. And with Taylor's versions, not only has she achieved industry support, but has also had the opportunity to find joy in an exhaustive process. As Taylor herself put it, "When I created these songs, I didn't know what they would grow up to be. Going back in and knowing that it meant something to people is actually a really beautiful way to celebrate what the fans have done for my music." I'm Yoonj Kim, and that's what you need to know.